I have concluded that collectivism is the way to go, simply for the fact that with collectivism, it's not just murder that is punished, but it is the beliefs that cause murder that is punished. It's not just rape that is punished, it is the beliefs that cause rape to be punished. It's not just homosexuality that is punished, or homosexual rape that is punished in the case of a secular society, but homosexuality, which leads to this kind of action, that is punished. In Russia, which is more of a, I think Russian society is more collectivist, there was two American homosexuals. They adopted a 9-year-old Russian boy, and they exploited that child. They put him through rape after rape after rape. They sold him into homosexual prostitution. They made a lot of money out of him. Putin comes in and says Americans cannot adopt Russian children. Now, you may say that that's very xenophobic of him, but I don't blame him. Why? Because in America, America is an individualistic society. With individualism comes a people with liberties to believe in evil. And when you have people who believe that they have this sense of entitlement to believe in evil, then they will commit evil actions proudly, boastfully, without fear or shame. And that is the way we need to be. Now, contrast that to, or compare that to what's happening in America. I believe it was in Alabama or Tennessee, one of those states. A homosexual couple adopts a little boy and they raped the little boy. Is homosexuality even being discussed? Is homosexuality being even considered a crime? Is the idea of deeming homosexuality as a crime in the law books even being put into consideration? No. Why? Because of individualism. Well, those people are homosexuals, and as long as they're individually happy, then it's okay. As long as they're not hurting anyone, then it's okay. They can have all of the lust for young children or young boys as much as they want. As long as they're not hurting those children or molesting those children, then it's okay. That is the result of individualism. You can sit here and tell me, well, if only people read their Bibles more, we wouldn't have these problems. No, it wouldn't matter, because as long as you have individualism, everyone's going to read their Bible. And a lot of Americans read their Bibles. Believe me, a lot of them do. And they're going to read their Bibles, and they're going to interpret them individualistically. And with each individualistic interpretation comes heresies, comes evil. Whereas in an orthodox society, people read the scriptures, but they read them under the instruction of the church. When I mean the church, I'm not talking about this superficial way of looking at it, like, oh yeah, we're all the church. No, I'm talking about the institution of the church, the ministry of the church. And so that prevents people from falling into heresy. Now, you're always going to have heresies, but those heresies can be shortened, they can be minimized, the amount of heresies can be minimized, and they can be prevented, and they can be uprooted. And also the crimes that result from evil beliefs are greatly prevented, and they are also minimized. You had Jeffrey Dahmer here in America, a homosexual, raped and murdered a bunch of men. Did we ever look into the dangers of homosexuality? Did the government of the United States ever inquire into why homosexuality leads to this evil? Did they even put the very thought of outlawing homosexuality into consideration? No. Why? Because as long as he's happy in his homosexuality, then it's okay. But in a collectivist society, we look at homosexuality and say it's evil, and it's only going to lead to more evils: murder, rape, cannibalism. Therefore, homosexuality must be outlawed. In an individualistic society, the serial killer, the homosexual serial killer, is arrested, he's tried, and he's punished. Probably put into prison with a bunch of other fags like him. In a collectivist society, the murderer is put to death because he's a danger, he must be uprooted, that's it. He deserves no more rights because he is a threat to the body, and the body is what determines his rights. The good of the body is what determines his rights. What benefits the body is what determines people's rights. So once he is a danger to the benefit of the body, to the health of the body, then he is uprooted just as a disease is destroyed by the immune system. And so, therefore, in a collectivist society, not only would he be put to death, but homosexuality would be determined to be a threat to the body politic. And homosexuality as well would be uprooted. Because not only does it produce murderers, but it as well, for one, is a danger unto itself. It has absolutely no benefits for society. It creates a demeaning view of human life because human life is sperm, egg coming together. You don't have that with homosexuality. So it brings a demeaning view of human life. It makes people disrespect human life, to hate human life. And this is why people who believe in homosexuality will also believe in cannibalism, and they will also believe in abortion because they have no respect for human life. So homosexuality unto itself is a danger. It leads to serial killers. It leads to cannibalism. It leads to murder, and is a danger to the body.
Hey, what's going on YouTube? What's going on Facebook? I want to discuss this Theodore Shubat guy. You just watched this video, and this is one of the most troubling and disturbing things I've seen in a long time. Not because of what he's saying. What he's saying is pretty consistent with the extreme right, the most militant, dangerous factions of Christianity. Those people, I mean, as a matter of fact, he identifies himself as a Christian militant and a crusader, right? So he's describing the exact type of mentality that led to the atrocities of the crusade. And this is where we see things fundamentally different. Even though he claims to be a Christian, he is going underneath. He would believe that the Crusades were a magnanimous time in Christian history, whereas I see the Crusades as a scourge in America in Christian history. So he's a dangerous. This is one of the most dangerous videos I've seen in a while because he is so sure and confident in his error. He's so sure and confident in his bigotry, in his homicidal, maniacal tendencies. It's funny he uses Jeffrey Dahmer as an example of why we should outlaw homosexuality, when in fact he himself is an example of that same type of homicidal, serial killer calmness and collectiveness, his ability to clearly and succinctly explain why we should root out and destroy all things that is not Christian, right? He does put a lot of emphasis on homosexuality, that we should root out and destroy or make illegal at a minimum homosexuality, because he sees this one example of a gay man who committed serial killing. So for him, he automatically concludes that homosexuality leads to serial killing. And then he lays out a case, tries to make a case of why this is true, right? Because they have no respect for life. They will believe in cannibalism. He makes all of these assumptions that clearly makes an ass out of him. But the dangerous part about it is that he's so sure and confident of himself. He reminds me of a serial killer. He literally reminds me, he probably can identify with Jeffrey Dahmer in the sense that he is just as cold and calculating and would exact his type of vengeance if allowed. If not for the legal system of America, he would go out and begin a new crusade to kill anyone who does not conform to his particular version of Christianity. And so it's just a perfect example of a person who thinks they are destroying a monster, not realizing that they themselves are the monster. This guy is a dangerous person that if not for American legal system, if not for laws, he would go out and kill people who did not conform to his Christian beliefs, and he would do it all in the name of Christ. This is how dangerous religion can become. He mentions ISIS in the video. He is no different than ISIS. He is no different than Jeffrey Dahmer. He is the exact type of cretin that he proclaims to want to oppose. He simply wraps it in Jesus's name. Listen, bigotry, even wrapped in the name of Jesus, is still bigotry. Hatred wrapped in the name of Jesus is still hatred. You don't get a get out of jail free card just because you're doing all of your evil in the name of Jesus. One, Jesus is not going to give you a get out of jail free card, but neither is society, right? So he represents the exact thing that he ostensibly wants to oppose. He is the cancer He is that tumor in Christianity that needs to be put out of Christianity, right? He's saying that the collective, that when you let a cancer get inside of your body, you have to expunge that cancer, that tumor. He is that tumor in religion. He is to Christianity what ISIS is to Islam. The problem is not just him as an individual. The problem is that his collective, right? That's his thing, collectivism. His collective following actually believes this. Now, I mean, maybe we shouldn't give airtime to this type of imbecile, but the reality of it is, if we don't expose it, then he is going to continuously grow. And I spoke with some friends of mine who are far more orthodox than I am. Right, I am a non-orthodox type of Christian. Right, I have worked out my own salvation lest I become a castaway type of Christian, right? But I've spoken with some that are very orthodox, and they agree that this guy is out of his mind. That he's using historical examples to justify the type of behavior that is antithetical to who Jesus was. You cannot look at Christian history and look at the history outside of the context of Jesus and think that everything that Christians have done throughout history is okay simply because they were Christian. That doesn't go. That doesn't follow. The Crusades were not a holy thing. It was barbaric. It was the exact opposite of who Christ was. Just different points that he uses, and you can go back and listen to his entire video. But I want to say that this is the exact thing that makes society as a whole look at Christianity and say that Christianity is a threat to society, or religion is a threat to society. The problem isn't religion. The problem is all of the extremists that and it's not the lesser minds. I was going to say it's the lesser minds. It's those who really believe in their intellectual capacity more than they probably should. It's the people who think they are smart and can reason and ration calmly why we should go and make homosexuality illegal in the United States of America. And he doesn't even realize that what he is offering is completely fascist. It is antithetical to democracy, right? So what he plans on doing, he would also wrap it in the American flag. It's bad enough that he wraps it in the cross, but he's going to wrap this in the American flag when it is the complete opposite of what America is. Right? He is suggesting that we expunge and we expel and that we make illegal anything that is not a part of the Christian collective. Notwithstanding the fact that he sounds like a mindless drone, right? He sounds like a Borg. He sounds like an evil Christian Borg, right? We want to assimilate everyone into our collective, into our collective consciousness. Your uniquenesses, except your uniquenesses will not be adopted. Your uniquenesses will be purged with fire. And if you do not purge this out of you, then the next step is war. The next step, and I'm going to use his gestures, war. The next step is, we kill you, executions. This guy has justified murder. He's justified it in the name of Jesus. And to me, this is the most dangerous type. He is exactly like ISIS. And anyone who follows him, and if you buy into this narrative, understand that you have become the exact monster that you purport to want to oppose.